listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Du lyssnar på Din hjärna i sändning. Programmet börjar snart. Njut.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Oliver Larson, and welcome to the second day of Christmas. Start bothering your true love for the next gifts. I mean, aren't there supposed to be 12 days of it? I don't know. Isn't that going to take us all the way to like January 6th-ish, I think? I think that's what the original 12 days of Christmas were supposed to be. I don't know. I'm not a historian on that part of the whatever it is. Folks, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful Merry Christmas. I mean, December 25th, we went ahead and took off. Welcome back to, the Friday broadcast. It's a great one. We are gonna, we got one more broadcast for you this week. Officially, we're wrapping up the holidays next week with New Year's. I don't know how all of you plan to celebrate, but, it's going to be fun no matter what you plan to do. We got quite a few stories that we managed to wrangle up for you today. It was a couple that are involving the local areas, a couple that are just like, out there, you know what I mean? But we're going to cover all of them because they're important because, you got to stay informed, you know what I mean? What else are you supposed to talk about at New Year's parties, you know what I mean? You're supposed to argue with people. You got to be informed in order to argue with people. So, without further ado, I want to hop into our first story because it involves more stuff that my fellow Minnesotans will be able to argue about over some drinks at the next holiday get-together you happen to be at. Minnesota fraud, ladies and gentlemen. More than 50% of the $18 billion spent on Medicaid programs could be fraud, feds say, according to many sources. I mean, what reaction are they going to have to that? Is it just going to be an that's unfortunate? I hope it's more than that. I mean, this is we got more reports out directly from what's his name? The first assistant U.S. attorney, Joseph H. Thompson. He held a press conference in Minneapolis December 18th, announcing new charges in the ongoing fraud investigations. They're targeting all of the major scale Minnesota Medicaid programs, the ones that have been taken advantage of by many people. He described the fraud as staggering and industrial scale, stating that more than half of the approximately $18 billion spent since 2018 is on 14 high-risk Medicaid waiver services. Oh my God, including housing stabilization, integrated community supports, and autism treatment programs could potentially be fraudulent. Eesh. These programs intended to support disabled adults and children with services like independent living assistance they have seen explosive cost and growth. That we've covered the numbers before, with some rising millions to hundreds of millions annually, often due to providers billing for services that weren't even provided or creating shell companies to exploit the system. Headlines stems directly from a lot of sources in the like USA Today, Minnesota Reformer. Federal investigators have uncovered patterns where providers submit claims for non-existent services, pay kickbacks to enrollees, or operate with minimal oversight, leading to what Thompson called a fraud tourism in the state. I love the way that he phrased that. That's very fun, including out-of-state actors setting up operations to defraud Minnesota's system. I mean, if you're an out-of-state person, I would. If I was just across the border in North Dakota, I'd be taking advantage of it. It's a gold rush. Recent actions include search warrants, one executed in the Ultimate Home Health Service, including charges against individuals for millions in false claims across programs like housing stabilization services and early in intensive developmental behavioral intervention. Interesting. The 18 billion figure represents total expenditures on these 14 programs, with $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. Thompson's estimate that over 50% of it could be fraud reflects the scale of suspected abuse based on the investigations, not the finalized audit. The state has responded by pausing payments, ordering third-party audits, and terminating some programs, while federal prosecutors continue charging defendants. I mean, that's the move, right? None of this is going to help Tim Walz's run at a third term. All of this happened under his watch, unfortunately. 2018 to this era is under his watch, you know what I mean? It's bringing the totals across related schemes to over 90 individuals that they've charged already. It's distinct, you know what I mean? The Medicaid improper payment rates, they hover around 5%. They often involve documentation errors rather than in intentional fraud per centers of Medicare and Medicaid services reports. This is the usual reports that we normally see. This is highly unusual in regards to any other state. Minnesota is a standout here. Let's go ahead and let's look at this clip from the press conference that they have for us to play right here.
Swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state. I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. Today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like. Because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is. Because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs, dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018, and more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as being having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud.
By the way, this man, the lack of charisma, the lack of interest, he's smiling like he's doing really, really good, and I'm sure he's proud of himself. I'm sure it takes a lot for these dorks, because a lot of these guys, a lot of law enforcement, a lot of these guys that get in the investigatory sector, they are all dorks. They're really like a lot of nerds. So they don't like public speaking. That's why a lot of them, they didn't get into the actual policing and whatnot. They didn't like take a taser in the training program. They didn't do any of that. Like, these are just dorks, you know what I mean? They're really proud of themselves when they give a really good, whatever public appearance. He's just really proud that he's keeping the sweat under control, but he's just, his inability to hold your attention, to make his words even a little interesting when he's talking about billions of dollars in fraud. I don't know. It's really unfortunate that Minnesota has so many boring people that make the crime in the state really just not that interesting to look at, because it's happening to people that just bobble their heads around and eat Dairy Queen. You know what I mean? Really flat, kind of, if they were replaced with cardboard figures, it would take the rest of the country weeks to notice. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we kept sending semis up there. We just thought that it was cold. Then they were in like a hibernating state where they all just like sat in place for a second. That's what they would all assume.
That's not the $1 million question. That's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much.
Canned a joke, by the way. I'm sorry.
And the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. The staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, many parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that.
That's what is the weird thing about a lot of Midwesterners, Minnesotans specifically. They're really easy to distract with like, oh, a community art project. Oh, like the school put on a really good version of Mary Poppins. Ergo, like, oh, so someone doesn't realize the mayor's embezzling money for a mansion, or like, I don't know, like a houseboat on the lake. I'm not saying any of this is specific to anything, but like, I'm just saying, like, in general, a lot of these Midwest towns where major crime is happening, it's not really the blue collar crime. There's some of it. Listen, Fargo is an accurate depiction of some areas of life in Minnesota, to where, yes, there's definitely elements of major crime syndicates that operate. It's land. It has people, and those people have money, so there's crime to be done in those areas. That's just the basic recipe for humanity. I'm sorry to say it. And Minnesota, yes, there's elements of people where they'll rob you with a gun and things like that. That's relegated mostly to towns and major cities. But this kind of like white collar crime, it'll happen in townships, it'll happen in municipalities, neighborhoods outside of major urban areas. It'll happen everywhere. That's what's crazy, is that it'll happen in every area. It'll be behind your back. You won't see it coming. Especially with these small towns, nobody's like, no one, you can't even get, most town council people, they run unopposed because nobody gives a shit about their towns. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the people, they rent apartments. They don't actually own property in these homes. Whatever, they like are there working at the turkey factory or whatever. So they have no reason to want to serve on the town council or whatever. So you just have these crooked white people who've just been sitting on the council for like, I don't know, like 20, 30 years, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's just Elroy McDougal or something like that. And it's like, yeah, he's been there for however long. No one ever questions it because his name just sounds like a nice fella who maybe shovel your walk for you if you're an old lady or something like that. That's, everybody trusts him. And then you figure out this guy was actually like if you Wired, that one news institution, put out a thing where they were tracking people's phones, and it's like this guy was one of those phones that ended up flying to Jeffrey Epstein's island. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what else to listen. That's maybe more if you live in the major cities, sure, but if like the Franklin scandal, though, that's a real thing where it was like, hey, that's a small town's credit institution. They were doing these sorts of same-sex scandals and whatnot. I'm saying that, like, these people in power in small positions, not exactly small positions, but small towns, but in high places of power, it's really easy for them to get away with a lot of things because so many of the things that they do that are actually criminal are actually lining their pockets of them and their friends, are like hidden in the municipal documents, hidden in the little filings, the little Becker County municipal codes, the little White Earth codes, all those things that like, that's actually how they're funneling money to this direction, and it actually goes this way. And it's like, oh, okay, that's how they maintain a certain level of like, okay, that's why the police are always in their neighborhoods making sure that they're safe. That's why they tend to ignore certain areas, especially when like domestic violence is surging in those areas. Whatever, we don't care about the people that live on the outskirts. We don't really care about the people whose water, gets shut off sometimes because the pipes freeze. We don't really listen. They are little pretty lights to look at. Those little trailer houses that are like filled with grandmas, grandpas, families with kids that are like the kids where you see them at your school and they're like missing gloves and things, and you're like, oh man, their family has problems. They're those trailer parks and whatnot. They're little dots of light to pepper our view of our beautiful little lake town. Our beautiful little lake town. We have a nice grain mill. We have a factory area. We have a nice little downtown area. We have a nice hotel area. We have this beautiful view where we're building this nice new apartment where we're going to have rich people live. It has this beautiful view of the scenic view of the lake, all this stuff. And it's going to be nice for all the people that like, benefit from these programs and whatnot, but it's not going to touch the actual community. The actual community is going to continue to be emblazoned with, instances. I'm actually going to get up the clip of this clip of downtown Minneapolis, because this is actually just 2 days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to play this clip for you, a clip of our once thriving downtown, Minneapolis. Minneapolis is downtown. If you all remember that area, you know what I mean? It's like the skywalks and everything. Back in the day, I remember even when I was a kid, you'd be able to like go to the department stores, all those sorts of things. I remember this exact street corner this lady's on. Let's take a clip. Let's take a look at this clip.
I'm here in downtown Minneapolis, and I want to show you all what a thriving downtown this is not. I'm standing right outside of
Nordstrom Rack.
This Nordstrom Rack is closed. I looked up to see why it's closed, and it just says, well, it's closed because we can't suit you so well here anymore. On this corner right here
there's
is
Dayton's.
This used to be a busy shopping center right here. That corner right there is vacant, and that corner right there is also vacant. Here we are, Christmas season, height of shopping season here in America, and this downtown is dead. There's actually no
That's literally the city center area right there. And then there's homeless people all over right in front of Dayton's. There's a lady sitting in a chair with a sign asking for money. Yeah, it's a little nuts.
To shop at.
There's no
People
stores open.
Don't come to downtown Minneapolis anymore because they say it's too dangerous. There's a lot of homeless people and a lot of drug addicts. People aren't coming down here. People in Minnesota don't feel safe to come and shop in Minneapolis. So therefore, stores have closed, retail has left, and Nordstrom Rack that took up a whole city block is no longer here. And department stores, they've left this city. Who wants to come down to a downtown where it's dangerous, too dangerous to walk around, to shop, park your car? Tim Walz, this is your city. Let me know what you think about this one.
Let me know what you think about this one. I mean, like, it's not Tim Walz's city, dipshit. It's actually Jacob Fry's, because what is the governor? Like, listen, the governor, he holds some responsibility over the state's condition overall. Absolutely, we can say that. But Mayor Jacob Fry is also a major reason why that city has fallen into fucking ruin. That's not, let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's not, pull punches, okay, lady? Let's just finish up the press conference of this horrifically unenthusiastic man.
It's been allowed to go on far too long.
It's been allowed to go on for too
We
long.
need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
Stop it in its tracks.
You know, I don't make these generalizations in a hasty way. So when I say a significant amount, I'm talking on the order of half or more. But we'll see. When I look at the claims data and the providers, I see more red flags than I see legitimate providers. And overwhelmingly so.
So you're seeing a reason to believe more than half of that $18 billion likely represents fraud?
I'm saying that's very possible, yes.
I'm saying that's very possible, yes. I'm saying that's very possible. You know, very nice, and thank you to Minnesota for starting to get a little honest. They started to realize that maybe pacifying people because, you know, they're too busy digging their car out of a ditch or whatever, they're not going to be pacified by the cold anymore. They're going to demand some actual governing, which is interesting, which is really interesting. I mean, maybe that's how Alaska ended up with Sarah Palin. I don't know. Let's check Governor Tim Walz. Let's check him, guys. All right, I think we should take a break for the ad because this is an interesting one. As you all are aware of, the recent rescheduling of marijuana is allowing a lot more room for business in certain areas, a lot more room for shipment. You know what I mean? It's going to loosen the regulations around a lot of the things that we love about that lovely THC. So I actually have partnered. This is a recent, addition to the crew of sponsors of the show. Introducing, ladies and gentlemen, Trump Haze, the premium cannabis line personally endorsed by the man himself, President Donald J. Trump. Now that he's made cannabis great again by rescheduling it faster than anyone ever thought possible, maybe ever, Trump Haze is hitting dispensaries in legal states everywhere, from gummies that pack a tremendous punch to blunts that are rolled with the finest flour, vapes that deliver huge clouds, and buds that are so potent they'll have you saying, "You're fired," to your stress. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump Haze is not just weed, it's winning weed, grown with the American grit, tested for maximum greatness, and branded with that little iconic golden seal of approval, because nothing says let's make America relaxed again like a product from the ultimate deal maker. Experience the Trump Haze difference. Our gummies come in all sorts of flavors, like Covfefe Citrus with Wallberry Blast, each one infused with enough THC to build a beautiful euphoria that will take your mind from all the fake news anxiety. The blunts, they're pre-rolled to perfection, thicker than the border wall and smoother than the campaign promise. Our flower is top shelf Trump OG hybrid, indica dominant for that heavy, luxurious body high that makes you feel like you're lounging at Mar-a-Lago. And the vapes, they're discreet, powerful cartridges in strains like Art of the Deal Diesel. They're hit and approved by Barron Trump himself at the college. Actually, not high school. He's at college now, ladies and gentlemen. So he's passing it around with the buddies. Hit it once and negotiate your way to a total chill state. All lab tested, federally compliant, post rescheduling, and sold directly under the Trump brand, because who else could deliver this level of high quality greatness? Trump Haze, the only weed worthy of a winner. Limited edition, gold embossed packaging while supplies last. Nothing available to losers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to jump into our next story. I, as a dog lover, have a very complex view on a lot of dogs. I love most of them. Most of my dogs that I've had throughout my life have been tiny, and I prefer tiny dogs, and I have no major experience with big ones because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them grossed me out. A lot of big dogs gross me out. A lot of them are like too slobby. A lot of them are just like straight up, they'll steal your food off the counters. I've enjoyed my small dogs. I've had mostly a Pomeranian and like when I was really, really young, and then I had like Pomeranian Yorkies throughout the majority of my upbringing for the rest of it. And they're amazing. They're a scrappy little bunch. They're very fun. They bite at you. They yell at you when you come in through the door. I love dogs, don't get me wrong. I am speaking as a person who's grown up with dogs and preferring them to cats all my life. And when I say this, understand that I say this with love. We need to end Pitbulls. Like, for all of them. We need to end them all. I'm not in favor of a Chernobyl, like, blasting. I'm not in favor of them, like, all getting shot on one day. I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of us going ahead and saying, wait a minute. This animal, this specific breed of dog, and I'm going to give my arguments for it later. This specific breed of dog, this one in particular, has been bred for fighting purposes. You know what I mean? This one is just, it's never been used. It's the only stories that come out about it are bad. Listen, folks, you never hear a story of a pit bull saving anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that my argument here is to end pit bulls in the way that they have taken in other countries that are civilized. I think that a decent way of doing this would be to eliminate the breeding. You're not allowed to breed them. And after this last layer of ownership is died out, let them keep them. Let them keep their dog. Let them keep them as long, for the rest of the years. They have to be spayed and neutered, obviously, because you can't have them breeding. You can't have you breeding them behind the scenes. But then phase them out. Let them all die out, and then just don't reproduce them, because inbreeding is bad. Number one. But ladies and gentlemen, I just don't think that we've gotten anything decent from this particular style of dog. Not even the rapper Pitbull is any decent. I haven't heard anything good from him. I heard that he helped people with his private jet, like when he saved them from a hurricane or something. Whatever. Pitbull, though, in general, the dogs, we need to talk about them seriously, because, ladies and gentlemen, this week, we've gotten another example of their just dramatic brutality that this specific breed of dog is capable of. Ladies and gentlemen, on December 21st, a pit bull attacked a baby in New York's Union Square. This is prompting conversation over dogs and their owners. Folks, a disturbing incident occurred in Manhattan's Union Square area near East 13th Street and Broadway when a 2-year-old pit bull named Disco Bubba attacked a 1-year-old boy on a crowded sidewalk around 11:10 a.m. Interestingly enough, video footage captured this whole incident, and it captured the dog latching onto the boy's left leg with a strong bite grip, refusing to release even as the boy's mother desperately tried to pull it away and screamed for help. According to reports, the child's father was picking up his son when the boy's leg was inadvertently swung near the dog's mouth, triggering the bite. Though some accounts suggest the dog may have been off leash or not fully controlled at the time, bystanders quickly intervened in the chaotic scene outside a Santander bank, with several people kicking the dog, good response, attempting to choke it, and placing it in a headlock. Right response. I'm sorry to say it, but correct response. These efforts initially failed to dislodge the jaws. The pit bull only let go after one man grabbed its private parts from behind, forcing it to release, which is always a great idea. It's proven that if you, this is going to sound bizarre, if you finger said dog in the area, in the rear end, they will release. This is according to people that have worked with dogs and whatnot. If you do that, they will release their grip on whatever they've got. It's an odd piece of advice, but if you ever find yourself attacked, you know what I mean? Because pit bull owners are the least responsible among us. They will let them just kind of sit outside. They will let them run off the porch. They will let them chase you and your stroller down the street. The dog's owner, who was seen pulling on a leash during the attack, reportedly walked away afterward and only waited calmly nearby at a bus stop without offering significant assistance. The child suffered multiple deep lacerations described by witnesses as leaving a hole in his leg, requiring numerous stitches. The toddler. It was rushed to NYC Health Hospital's Bellevue, where he was treated and listed in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. Police responded to the scene, but as of late December 2025 reports, no charges have been filed against the owner, pending ongoing investigations into whether the dog was properly leashed under New York City laws requiring dogs to be restrained in public. Man, this video, it's hard to ignore. It's hard to look at. This gentleman, Kevin Richardson, witnessed the entire occasion. You know what I mean? He jumped into action. He thankfully saved this kid's life. I'm gonna let him just kind of say it in his words. He's relatively quick about it. He was just walking around the streets of New York, you know what I mean? Just minding his own business with his son when he heard the screams of a mother and a child and the sounds of a dog barking. Pretty fun. Let's begin.
But I could also clearly hear a child screaming. And so I told my son, stay behind me, let me go see what's going on. And I rushed forward because I always try to see what I can do to help whenever I see situations going on. And in front of me was this poor woman holding on to her child, who must have been a toddler, literally almost a baby. And this pit bull was clamped down on his leg, and she was pulling for dear life to try to pull the child out of the dog's jaws. And the father was pulling as well. And the owner was trying to pull the dog back, and it was just terrific because that dog was just not letting go. And seeing all that happening in front of me, I just looked back. I told my son, stay here, I'll take care of this. And I went forward to do whatever I could do to help. Now, as I'm walking forward, someone came and punched the dog and ran back. And someone came and splashed water on the dog. And I've unfortunately been in situations where I've seen pit bulls attack before, and I know that the more you do anything to aggravate it, it's only going to keep on biting down, probably even harder. Now, I've studied canine anatomy as part of my martial arts training, and I've done so much over the years in terms of grappling techniques. I taught ninjutsu for decades. And I saw that there was a way, because of my positioning, that the two carotid arteries of the dog were openly available to me. And that, honestly, the dog wasn't really responsible for what's going on. A dog is an animal. It's
just doing what it's programmed
rational.
to do. Yep.
Killing the dog would have, for me, been not something that I would necessarily want to do. And I thought that this could actually be a better way to save this kid.
Let animal control decide its fate.
Because they were pulling and pulling, and no matter how much they pulled, the dog simply was letting go. It was completely locked in with something that pit bulls do. Anybody who owns pit bulls or knows about pit bulls, they just lock in. And so I wrapped it into choke position, bicep to one artery, and pressing on the other artery, and I squeezed as hard as I could. It felt like I was holding onto a muscle. The dog was just completely rigid and just fully clamped down. All the while I'm hearing the woman screaming, I'm hearing the child screaming, I'm hearing people screaming. It was complete chaos, and all that time clamped down with the dog, I just saying to myself, and just asking, praying that I don't fail. Saying, Father, please don't let me fail. Let me be able to help this child. And it started getting to a point where it felt like it might not have worked. It might not work. Maybe I don't have enough strength to choke this dog out because it's just so much muscle. And I started thinking to myself again, well, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to put the dog down. But thankfully, as I started feeling that way, the dog started to go limp. I could feel the dog getting limper and limper and limper as I was cutting off its air supply and its oxygen supply to its brain.
Good.
And then, thankfully, the dog let go. Thankfully.
Yep.
And as the dog let go, I decided again I could keep on choking the dog and choke the dog completely to unconsciousness, which it's a dog. I don't know whether or not it would be like a human being being choked out where it would recover right afterwards, or if it would just die as a result. As far as I was concerned,
arguable.
The child had gotten out, so I let go. I let go, and the dog popped back. It looked dazed for a second there. And then I'm on the floor, obviously, face to face with the dog. And then the dog started to rush forward again. At this point, the owner was able to hold it back. And I sprung from the floor because I didn't want to have my face ripped off by that dog either. And at that point, I went over to the child who was with his father. His mother was on the floor, poor woman. I can't even imagine what that poor woman was going through, what that poor man was going through, the father of the child.
The gentleman's a hero. Kevin Richardson, ladies and gentlemen. He is of his YouTube channel, Kevin Richardson, Naturally Intense. This man, he was just a usual YouTuber, had like 18K subscribers or whatever, just walking around the streets of New York. And when he saw this brutal attack, he was just like, I'm incensed to jump in. And we are greatly appreciative for his heroism. He saved that child's life potentially. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful act of humanity. You know what I mean, for the holidays. Not one that we want to have to see. Regrettable. Yeah, if you're ever in a situation, I will say this, as just a person where I'm like, okay, you are the human life here. You have more value in this situation than the dog's life. It's inarguable. It's not like a thing that we can just like debate. The human life in that situation is more valuable. If you are forced to operate with fatal, operative, whatever. If that's your modus operandi, if you're like, I have to kill this thing in order to save a life, yeah, I'm not saying I give you permission to. I'm saying that, like, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I wouldn't try to convict you of animal cruelty if you were trying to save somebody's life. That's all I'll say. You know what? Listen. There's advocates out there for breed-specific regulation. They're arguing, and I would also argue, that pit bulls they present a disproportionate risk to public safety compared to other dog breeds. It justifies restrictions on ownership, breeding, all that in the United States. Multiple peer-reviewed medical studies have found that pit bulls are responsible for a significantly higher percentage of severe and fatal dog attacks, far more than any other breed. For example, analysis is from journals such as the Annals of Surgery surgery and plastic and reconstructive surgery have consistently shown that pit bull type style dogs, like, you know what I mean, bred with them and whatnot, are more likely to cause injuries requiring hospitalization, surgery, or resulting in death. Importantly, these studies, they're focusing on like not frequency of bites alone, but severity, which is the key concern to public safety. Like how many of them are doing real damage to people. This elevated risk is often linked to breed-specific traits shaped through historical selective breeding, which a lot of people don't even know. Pit bulls, they were originally bred for bull baiting and later for dog fighting, which favored physical strength, bite endurance, and reduced sensitivity to pain. It also, individual temperament varies on many pit bulls. They're kept as family pets. Public policy is designed around population level risk rather than individual exceptions, similar to how certain vehicles, wildlife, or weapons are regulated due to their inherent danger. Or opponents argue that dog breeds can be bred for high physical damage. They or potentially warrant stricter controls regardless of owner intent. You know what I mean? It's just an inherently more risky animal. Insurance and municipal data also, they further support the case for legal restrictions. The Insurance Information Institute and multiple major insurers have reported that pit bull type style dogs are frequently involved in most expensive and severe dog related liability claims, leading many insurers to exclude them from coverage. At the city level, jurisdictions have jurisdictions that have been implemented for breed specific legislation, BSL, such as parts of Canada and several U.S. municipalities, have documented reductions in serious dog attacks. So areas where they have tried out this sort of breed specific, let's cut them out, let's make sure that they're not as present, they have serious reductions in actual dog attacks and related medical costs over time. These outcomes, they're suggesting that regulation, it can produce measurable public safety benefits. I'm just saying that, like, while public ownership and all that animal welfare stuff, I'm worried about whether or not we're shooting pit bulls. I don't want to kill all the pit bulls. That's not what I'm in the favor for. But when you hear stories like this every day, I don't know what to say.
Inside, 3 people attacked by a dog while walking down a Riviera Beach street. Now we're hearing from one of those victims.
This was 2 days ago.
Police, and he has a surveillance video that shows the entire attack.
December 23rd.
Let me set this up for you. This is Via Hacienda here in Riviera Beach. According to police, the owner of the dog left his garage door open and the dog was able to get out and almost immediately attacked 3 people. I'm going to show you video of that attack, but I want to warn you first, some people might find the video disturbing. Just before 3 p.m. Tuesday, top of your screen, you can see 3 people walking along Via Hacienda in Riviera Beach. And then you see the dog charging at them. The attack goes on for about a minute. All 3 victims were hospitalized with bite wounds and abrasions suffered while fighting off the dog.
I grabbed him so tight, and then I hold on, everybody was there, and then I said, call 911, call help.
And that is exactly what a neighbor did. Call 911.
It's 911, where's your emergency? We're inside the house because we're worried that they're going to come and attack us.
When officers arrived, the dog was back inside his home. Police say he had gotten out when his owner forgot to close the garage door.
That dog was not confined, so it ran out, ran up the street,
Really?
And went after these 3 people. Just attacked.
No way.
Ian lives across the street. He asked us to not use his last name. It's his security video that recorded the attack. He says the dog even threatened him just before, as he left to pick up his children.
3 minutes later, my dad calls me. I call Ian. People are screaming here. The dog attacked the people.
Animal Care and Control arrived on scene and took custody of the dog.
Woo!
The owner did not want to go on camera, but says the dog is 1-year-old, named Enzo. He says Enzo is sweet and playful. He doesn't understand what happened. Police say it's...
Every single pit bull owner will be like that. My dog is the exception. It's sweet. He's precious to people. Your dog is nature. His nature is deep in his genes, and it's waiting to come out one day when he sees a nice fresh baby arm sticking out of like a stroller. He's gonna see that and he's gonna be like, ah, and he will not let go of that baby. He won't, I promise you.
People arrived on scene and took custody of the dog. The owner did not want to go on camera, but says the dog is 1 year old, named Enzo. He says Enzo is sweet and playful. He doesn't understand what happened. Police say it's lucky it wasn't worse.
They fear that had it been a child or just one person, it could have been a much more brutal attack because this dog had a lot of power and was very aggressive.
I had 2 boys, 5 and 6. God forbid. I don't even know what I would have done, you know. It's sad to see this kind of stuff, but it's scary at the same time.
The owner of the dog tells me he hopes to get Enzo back home, but according to police, Animal Care and Control will be the ones who eventually decide what happens to Enzo. In Riviera Beach, Ari Height, WPBF 25 News.
By the way, every pit bull owner that hears this episode is going to go, I will fight you tooth and nail to have my pit bull. I need him when I'm sitting on my nice little mill house in, I don't know, like downtown, not downtown. It's like it's the outskirts of Minneapolis, kind of near like where the stadium is. When I'm sitting in my little mill house and I'm on my porch, you know, where the Airbnb is. And if I'm in my little house in Powderhorn Park, I need my pit bull to be sitting there by my side on that porch, because who else is going to terrorize and torment the children of my neighborhood with me? I will die for my right to scare children and to scare you people. And they turn around to the people that they're giving the speech to in the town council meeting. I will fight tooth and nail to terrorize every last one of you with my dog. My dog is the most precious creature in the world, and you all will die before you take him. You all will die before my dog is taken. My dog their life is more precious than any one of your children. I will take my dog on a rampage through an elementary school before fucking animal control lays their hands on my dog. There's a lot of people out there like that, and it's a lot of, listen, I'm not saying cat owners are any less fanatical, but you do not see cats out there ripping the throats out of 3-year-olds. I'm sorry to say it. It's really, really rare to see, except for when, like, I don't know, the kid crawls over, like, an animal enclosure or something at the zoo, and it's a big cat. But otherwise, you don't see house cats, like, swiping their paw at a kid and then taking out their throat. I don't see that very often. I'm just saying, you know, if you want safety, get a cat. If you want safety, get a cat. If you want adventure and true love, get a dog. That's all I can say. Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hop into the rapid-fire section of today's headlines. There's too much to cover that you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. The United States has declared December 26th and December 24th federal holiday, as we've already covered. President Donald Trump, he signed it as an executive order, making December 26th and 24th official federal holidays, closing federal offices and giving workers post-Christmas breaks. This affects agency schedules, public services, and what's open or closed today. I mean, yeah, I don't know about y'all, but like most people, they still got to go to work. U.S. military launches strike on the Islamic State in Nigeria. I mean, it's because they're killing all the Christians, right? That's what the Trump administration said. They confirmed Christmas Day airstrikes. Merry Christmas. God, can you believe it? The Nigerian children were looking forward to presents from the sky, presents from Saint Nicholas, or Saint Nicolas, whatever they call him, whatever version of Christianity they were served when we were colonizing them. But the Nigerian children were looking up the African skies, and they were amazed to see this light approaching their village, and they went, oh my God, mommy, maybe it's Santa, and boom, their whole village was lit up. I mean, what else is America supposed to do to close out the year, folks? I mean, it was against the Islamic State, linked militants in the Sokoto state, Nigeria, a joint operation with Abuja that reflects intensifying counter-terror cooperation and diplomatic tensions over framing the attacks. I mean, yeah, obviously. Oh, the Trump Kennedy Center jazz concert, it was canceled due to political protest. A long-running Christmas Eve jazz event at the Kennedy Center was canceled after the venue was controversially renamed to include President Trump's name, prompting backlash from artists and critics. I mean, that sucks for them. I mean, did anybody actually care about the Kennedy Center before this? I really didn't. I can't force myself to now. Federal fallout and policy impact in New Mexico. Look at how the federal decisions in this year impacted New Mexico's political and economic landscape. I mean, they've had a major shakeup. I mean, Veer Bal Diwas in India also, December 26th, it's marking Veer Dal Biwas in India, commemorating the bravery of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's sons with remembrance events planned nationwide. Fun for them. Thailand-Laos Friendship Bridge opens. Good for them. Thailand and Laos have inaugurated a fifth Thai-Lao Friendship Bridge, a significant infrastructure milestone strengthening regional connectivity. Hell yes, making it a big GTA map over there. Ooh, this is a really interesting Hollywood blind item that actually I want to keep everybody privy to. If anybody else is keeping up with the Stranger Things blind items, I mean, Will Byers, gay, I saw it coming a mile away. But if you're watching all the media around Stranger Things as of late, if you're watching anything involving the media rollout or anything, you're going to notice one face is not joining them on the red carpet or anything like that. David Harbour is apparently being placed on involuntary psychiatric hold. What did he do? What?
David Harbour has allegedly been placed on a psychiatric hold. He's been displaying some bizarre behavior lately, and the blind items allege that he'll be missing out on a lot of Stranger Things press. And the blind item reads, this actor from the popular streaming show set in the 80s won't just be skipping a single event. Following his arrest, he's been placed on a psychiatric hold and will be absent for much more. And again, this allegedly David Harbour being placed on a psychiatric hold. And the related headline reads, David Harbour causes chaos at California bar after allegedly stealing a man's hat amid personal struggles. David Harbour recently drew attention to himself after a bizarre incident outside a California bar where he was filmed running off with another patron's hat. The actor's actions reportedly sparked confusion at the bar, but no physical confrontation. An eyewitness suggested the behavior may be linked to stress and his openly discussed bipolar disorder. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below and follow me for more celebrity tea.
I mean, I will happily follow you for more tea. That sounds fun. What's it called? There's more to be said here. I mean, I feel bad for this guy. Listen, David Harbour, he was good in the show for the first couple seasons, and then they just kind of, I don't know what they're doing with his character in later seasons. He just becomes more of a whatever. After he goes to Russia, I'm not that interested anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. Oh yeah, it was a deadly night, by the way, for Chicago, Christmas Eve. Sorry, Chicago, but you didn't have a very nice one. This was just 8 hours ago, ladies and gentlemen.
Multiple neighborhoods. The latest one happening just after 3 a.m. near 63rd in Dorchester and Woodlawn. Chicago police say a man was walking outside when 3 other men drove up in a silver car. 2 of them jumped out with guns and shot the man. At last check, he's in the hospital in critical condition. This shooting is just one of at least 6 happening since 10 p.m. last night. So far, Chicago police say no arrests have been made.
Of course, why wouldn't there be? Why would there be any shooting? Why would there be any shooting, people that have... Why would there be any shooters in fucking custody? At least 6 people have been shot, 1 fatally, in Christmas night shootings, Chicago police say. None are in custody. I mean, obviously, it's a big-ass city. You want them to catch everybody? I don't believe it. These expectations are ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Somalia's historic municipal elections also. Voters in Mogadishu, not Minneapolis, went to the polls in municipal elections, seeing a key step towards Somalia's first direct national elections in decades. Does that mean they can all go home now? I mean, their country seems like it's putting itself back together, right? That means they can all go home right now, right? At least that's what I thought. It was like a temporary thing. It was like refugees, when the country falls apart for a while, but then like eventually the motherland, it calls home, right? Especially if it's a really great place, as if it's apparently like a really nice place that we like really want to like protect with like money and like humanitarian aid and whatnot. Like it's a really good place that we want to be in. If it's so great, why not? Anyways. Let's jump over to, what's it called? The next headline, Spotify. If you have a Spotify account, ladies and gentlemen, it's been hacked, I'm sorry to tell you, by a hacktivist group called Anna's Archive. It's looking to distribute it all on the internet. I mean, I don't know that your personal information is all that at risk here. It seems like they're targeting artists and their private, unreleased music. Let's take a look at this story. Play.
Spotify got hacked and hacked bad. A hacktivist group by the name of Anna's Archive has claimed responsibility for, get this, scraping the entire catalog of Spotify. Yeah. 300 terabytes of audio for what they're calling their preservation project.
Okay, all
and
the
Spotify
audio.
has confirmed this. They're saying a third party has scraped metadata and then used tactics to get around their DRM to access some files. Well, Anna's Archive is actually saying some is more like 99.6% of their entire catalog.
Wow.
And get this, they're planning to distribute all of this via torrents in the weeks to come. The scale of this could potentially be the largest unauthorized acquisition of copyrighted creative works in history. And I know some of you may be thinking maybe that's not big of a deal, but, you know, think about it this way. Musicians are already struggling with the economy of streaming as it is. And then, you know, with 300 terabytes of high-quality music becoming available, AI developers could train their music models on a stupid, ridiculous scale now. I know this sounds crazy, but this could very well kill the music industry as we know it.
Well, let's not be alarmist. It could definitely harm people, but I don't know. Maybe shit's about to get really cheap on the internet. I don't know. You can go to YouTube and you can type in music. I never understood people who get Spotify or pay for music. I'm like, you can go to YouTube and listen to any song you want right now. That's just like, what? All right, we're going to jump into our final story, ladies and gentlemen. Our Friday story is going to conclude with one final one. And it's going to relate to, something to close out this very Christmassy week we've had, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a holly jolly one, as have I. I'm looking forward to New Year's week next week. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about something that matters. We have to talk about something that's important. Finland. Why are Finland's reindeers dying by the thousands? Folks, in northern Finland, particularly in Lapland, reindeer herding is a cornerstone of its cultural and economic life, especially for the indigenous Sami communities. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And local herders, all those sorts of folks. Finland maintains around 200,000 semi-domesticated reindeer, which roam vast snowy landscapes and support tourism, meat production, traditional livelihoods, all that good stuff, all that jazz. However, in 2025, herders reported that a sharp increase in losses had befell them, with approximately 1,950 reindeer killed by predators, primarily wolves, marking a near 70% rise from the previous year. According to the Finnish Reindeer Herders Association, the primary culprit appears to be surging wolf population, estimated around 430 animals in 2025. The highest in decades, apparently, up from fewer than 200 in 2018. Herders like Juha Kujala, God, these Finns, they have fun names. A fifth-generation reindeer herder owner near the Russian border described finding carcasses nearly daily, with wolves targeting vulnerable calves and females. DNA analysis from these natural resource institutes in Finland have identified many wolves with genetic markers originating from Russia, suggesting migration across the 800-mile border. Wow. Local Finns, including herders and some scientists, wildly are attributing this predator influx into their country due to Russia and their ongoing war with Ukraine. No, really. I mean, how? They argue that the mass mobilization and recruitment have drawn hunters and able-bodied men away from the rural Russia border regions, reducing wolf hunting, and that previously had kept the populations in check. As one herder put it, quote, now they are hunting people in Ukraine. There's nobody left hunting the wolves, unquote. This theory aligns with observed declines in Russian wildlife management and has gained traction amid broader anti-Russian sentiment in Finland following its NATO acquisition. I mean, yeah, the Finns have a lot of reason to be angry at the world. A lot of people don't even believe that they're a real country. People go like, oh yeah, Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland. Yeah, I think that's it. Everybody forgets Finland. I'm sorry to say it. It's like that kind of like, oh, isn't that part just Russia? But no. That's its own country. It's its own population. They're kind of Baltic in influence in weird ways, but they're fun. They like to wear wooden shoes. I don't know. While the Ukraine war connection is popular locally and supported by some research noting decreased Russian hunting pressure, experts acknowledge broader factors. Wolf populations are rising across Europe due to conservation efforts, and habit changes like logging may also play a role. In response, Finland has issued a special hunting license for wolves in herding areas and advanced legislation to ease restrictions on culling the protected species. Herders continue to patrol with rifles and dogs, but many fear long-term damage to their herds and their way of life as the losses are persisting. Let's take a look at this clip from CNN, and then I'll let y'all. I will excuse class for the week, and then you will have the weekend off, ladies and gentlemen, and then class will be reattending Monday next week. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it.
Russia's war in Ukraine is having far-reaching and surprising impacts. Even hundreds of miles away, here in Finland. Every year, hundreds of thousands of tourists from all over the world flock here to the Arctic Circle.
I have a feeling that you came to see Santa.
Finnish legend has it that this is the home of Santa Claus. The iconic reindeer are at the heart of Finland's culture and economy. But Finland's reindeer are in trouble. Thousands are showing up dead. And you might be surprised to know who people here blame.
Looks like Game
Russian
of Thrones.
President Vladimir Putin. Russia's border with Finland stretches over 800 miles, the longest of any NATO country. Juha Kujala lives just a few miles away. His family have been wrangling reindeer for over 400 years. He now sells reindeer everything, from reindeer yoga
What?
to sleigh rides. Oh, poor reindeer.
And this is the fascinating thing about a lot of Scandinavian cultures. They're very fun people, but they're also in weird ways. They have a German aspect that is like a weird level of seriousness. Like if you make a joke, sometimes they won't laugh because they'll be like, "Are you being real?" or whatever. I don't know. I've noticed that you crack a joke in front of these people very often, and sometimes they won't get it. You know what I mean? That's okay. That's chill. It's noticeable. Cultural differences are always there. But these people, they're walking around and it's like they're tromping around in the snow. It looks like North Vermont, and they find this reindeer carcass. It looks like the White Walkers have torn into it.
That's killing the reindeer.
Wolf is the worst. And they just kill.
Wolf is the worst.
This area wolves, most of them come for the east.
For the east.
The Russian side.
How do you know that?
You see the tracks, they come for the Russian side.
Why do you think there are more Russian wolves?
That's the Putin who changed the world.
Putin?
Yeah, the soldiers and the young hunters, they hunt the wolves. But now they are hunting people. In Ukraine, there's nobody anymore there left who's hunting wolves.
So do you blame Vladimir Putin for these dead reindeer?
Who could I blame? I could blame the whole world. Why this shit happened. It's getting worse after the Ukraine war.
I mean, I like the whole world. The whole world. I mean, these people, they sound like they should be acting in like a Willy Wonka movie. I love the Finnish accent, don't get me wrong. They're very fun people. But this guy, like, maybe it's just time to find a new industry. You know what I mean? This guy, he looks like he could make a life in the city or something like that. Not like, why is barren landscapes so appealing to some people?
In an effort to control the thriving wolf population, Russian men have long been paid bounties by the state for every wolf they hunt. But experts who track the Russian military tell us that recruitment drives into the war in Ukraine have been intense, leaving fewer people to hunt the wolves. Now reports in Russian media say wolves are increasingly entering villages and towns. And it seems they're crossing the border. Extensive wolf DNA testing.
There's just a backyard ring footage in Russia. These little tiny cottages. It looks like Borat's village that he lives in, and just wolves walking around.
That theory. In Finland, there's been a dramatic rise in wolves, which are killing reindeer in record numbers. Sightings like these are increasingly common all along eastern Finland.
They're beautiful.
That's something that will be difficult to stop, as tensions along this over 800-mile border are at their highest point in decades.
So right now we are with some Finnish conscripts in the northernmost part of the European Union.
Finland has increased defence spending and is carrying out large-scale military training.
I thought the Finnish military was just a bunch of gnomes.
But also a very prepared country.
It's smart to prepare.
It's smart to prepare. We're making many cookies for the Russians. We know there's going to be many.
Kujala is hoping for the best.
Hopefully, Mr. Trump, if you hear me, do everything to try to stop this war. If we
Do
can
everything.
fix this wolf situation quickly, some part of the area gonna be without reindeers.
And what would that mean to you?
Like somebody took my life away.
Mr. Trump, please assist. I mean, we need this industry. We need to kill reindeer. I love it. Listen, I love the Finnish accent. I love the Finnish people. I have Finnish family. I have family who lives in Finland. They're having a great time. They might hear this. Hi. Yeah, I'm joking. They won't hear this. They're busy fighting for the homeland right now. Apparently the Russian borders in general. Apparently Belarus, all of them. They're a little nervous because of the whole Ukraine thing. So, they're a little busy, I think, shining the artillery, you know what I mean, going over the M16s, all that sort of stuff. It's a really fun. Besides that, you can ride a bike to a windmill and, break your arm and not lose your life savings. It's a pretty decent switch up. I'm not even gonna lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there's a lot of ways to fix this. Sure, let's blame Vladimir. I want to blame him for a lot of things. He hasn't called me back ever since I called him out on the last few episodes. I don't know how many ago. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you enjoyed today's broadcast. I enjoyed throwing these stories together with you. I loved talking to you. I hope that you enjoyed it. I can't wait to catch you for Monday's broadcast. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I've been your host, Ollie Volt Larson. This has been your Brain on Air. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.